Rao tiene que estar a punto de llegar. Vale, Bruno ha empezado a grabar, correcto. Muchas gracias. A ver, un momento. A ver, me está hablando Rao que tiene un problema. Un momentito. Un momento que vamos a darle... Vamos a ayudarle.
Están invitados a una taza de café.
Gracias. Bueno, el link, en principio, vamos a intentar usar este enlace. Si diera problema, haríamos lo de ayer, pero en principio, de momento, vamos bien. Vale, un segundo. Vale, me está diciendo Rao que tiene un problema de conexión, que no le deja conectar. Le he dicho que reinicie. Así que mientras él nos confirma ya que puede acceder. Vale, como él nos confirmará ahora que puede acceder, pues mientras tanto vamos a seguir, tardará unos minutos. Vamos a continuar con la programación o sea, con la inteligencia artificial, perdón. Vamos ganando tiempo y en cuanto él se conecte, pues ya le cedemos a él la palabra, si os parece, ¿vale?
Perdona, Antonio, yo acabo de tener una experiencia hace un segundo con ChatGPT. Estábamos hablando de los participantes por país. Yo hice un copy de la página de Fieldtech, la copié, la pegué en ChatGPT y le dije, por favor, dame un resumen de participantes por país. Me respondió inmediatamente con un pequeño error. Lo volví a escribir, le digo, en total son 43 participantes, el resumen me suma 41. Yo la hizo y me sacó el resumen perfecto. Entonces, yo inicialmente pensé hacer una rutina, poner a programar para sacar el resumen, que saber cuántos por país. En segundos, ChatGPT me hizo el trabajo. Es fantástico.
Bueno, no, es una maravilla, pero y además no solamente eso, sino que es que ha mejorado mucho la versión nueva, pero Claude, que es el competidor, Claude a veces hace cosas mejores y resultados mejores que ChatGPT. De todas formas, hoy vamos a ver, porque ayer empezamos con una breve introducción para situarnos históricamente en el punto en el que estamos, pero voy a compartir pantalla y vamos a empezar a hablar de esto. A ver, voy a compartir la pantalla. En cuanto llegue Rao, cambiamos de tema para que a él no se le haga tarde, por el tema de horario. Vale. ¿Veis la pantalla?
Sí, sí. Es una LL.
¿Veis la pantalla compartida?
Sí, Antonio. Sí, sí.
Sí, la veo.
Sí, se ve
Bueno, venga, vamos a retomar el tema hasta que Rao nos confirme que ya llega y así nos vamos avanzando. Fijaros una cosa, el punto actual en el que estamos es lo que se le llama LLM, que significa modelo de lenguaje grande o largo o muy grande, ¿vale? ¿Qué es en realidad un LLM? Fijaros lo que os digo y tengo la suerte de poder haber consultado mucha información en Twitter, bueno, ahora se llama X, leer mucho material, ver muchos vídeos. En realidad, aunque hay tecnología acerca de lo que es el LLM, en realidad nadie sabe con certeza cómo funciona. Eso es lo más curioso del tema. Yo por eso digo que esto ha sido más un descubrimiento que una invención, porque se ha llegado a un modelo que es capaz de guardar datos más razonamientos, pero no se sabe realmente cómo se ha conseguido el milagro. Se sabe la tecnología que se ha seguido, pero no se sabe todavía muy bien cómo funcionan. Lo que sí se sabe es que son un backup, podéis pensar que es un backup de nuestro cerebro, por decirlo de alguna manera, o a través de lo que hay publicado en la web, de lo que hay publicado en libros, en documentos, etc. Y cuando hablo de backup, no solamente hablo de que hay datos, sino que tiene datos más razonamiento. Es decir, los modelos LLM tienen información, pero además son capaces de razonar sobre la información que tienen. Fijaros la diferencia, por ejemplo, con una DBF o con una base de datos de SQL. Si vosotros tenéis una base de datos con información, la información es estática. Podéis hacer una consulta, podéis hacer un listado, podéis buscar información, pero la base de datos no razona. La diferencia con el LLM es que razona. Es decir, es capaz, le podéis hacer una pregunta, disculpa por el ruido que hay de fondo que enseguida termina, perdón. Un poco de ruido y ya termina. Fijaros una cosa, una base de datos no podemos conseguir que razone, pero un LLM sí. Perdonad por el ruido de fondo que ya termina. Bien, entonces tenemos de momento, digamos, unos modelos muy grandes que contienen una información que básicamente son números, que hay unas rutinas que los ponen en funcionamiento y en esos modelos grandes que son como una base de datos enormes, hay muchísima información, hay cientos de libros, miles de documentos, miles o millones de páginas web, pero el modelo es capaz de razonar, ¿vale? Esto lo tenemos claro. Bien, hay un tema que es fundamental y que al principio cuando las personas que lo hemos ido observando nos llamó la atención como una curiosidad, pero ahora ya va mucho más allá de una curiosidad y es muy importante, ahora explico el porqué, es que estos modelos son sensibles al contexto. ¿Qué significa que sea sensible al contexto? Significa, por ejemplo, cuando hablamos entre dos personas, tú le puedes decir varias palabras a una persona. Pero si tú la has situado en un contexto, hablándole de un determinado tema, de una determinada temática, de un determinado asunto, esa persona sabe que estás hablándole de un determinado contexto. Vale, los modelos LLM son capaces de hacer esto. O sea, son capaces de replicar el entender lo que es un contexto. Y este contexto los influencia de una manera enorme, muy fuerte. Y esto diréis, bueno, ¿y qué importancia tiene esto? Lo vamos a ver ahora. Lo vamos a ver con unos ejemplos prácticos para que entendáis para que entendamos realmente qué es un LLM en comparación a una base de datos, dónde está la verdadera diferencia, ¿vale? Bien, voy a... ahora hago un pequeño paréntesis y me gustaría que me siguieseis a ver si podéis acompañarme para que todos estemos en el mismo punto. Fijaros, hay una página web que se ha vuelto muy importante en el tema de inteligencia artificial, que es Hugging Face. Esta página es una web de una empresa que está volcada completamente, especializada en inteligencia artificial y se ha vuelto como un líder en todo el estudio de los modelos de inteligencia artificial. Entonces yo os pediría, el daros de alta en esta página es totalmente gratuito, o sea, solamente tenéis que buscar en Google Hugging Face, se escribe como lo veis ahí, Hugging Face, y que os deis de alta. Creáis una cuenta, ponéis un nombre de usuario, pedir una contraseña y listo. ¿Vale? ¿Por qué es importante esto? Os lo voy a mostrar. Fijaros. Hugging Face es el único sitio donde de forma gratuita podemos utilizar modelos de inteligencia artificial sin tener que pagar nada. Cuando yo hago el hincapié en no pagar nada, no es por no pagar, es porque entiendo que estamos en una etapa inicial en la que hay que hacer muchas pruebas, hay que dedicarle tiempo a esto y para hacer todas esas pruebas es importante que sea gratuito el servicio. En concreto estáis viendo la pantalla de un modelo que es el modelo publicado por Meta, el Llama 3 de 70B, 70 billones de parámetros, bueno, es un detalle de tamaño. Y este modelo nosotros lo hemos creado, está creado en, fijaros que esta es la web, os la voy a poner aquí para que la tengáis, la web de Hugging Face, os las pongo en el chat, ¿vale? Yo os pediría por favor que vayáis a esa web y mientras estamos hablando os deis de alta, es muy importante lo que vamos a ver ahora. Y en concreto hay un apartado que vais a ver que pone chat, ¿vale? Es decir, hay una subcarpeta o una subdirección que pone chat. Pero de todas formas yo voy a compartiros la dirección de este modelo. Estoy copiando el modelo este, os lo pongo en Skype y ya podéis entrar al mismo chat que estáis viendo, ¿vale? Al modelo 370B y pone que está creado por Fibetech. Ahora veréis por qué y vosotros vais a crear el vuestro. Una vez que os deis de alta en esta página, vais a crear vuestros propios modelos de forma totalmente gratuita, 100% gratuito, ¿vale? Fijaros una cosa, este modelo es un ejemplo creado por nosotros que es totalmente neutro. Neutro en el sentido de que no tiene ningún contexto, es el modelo puro, tal cual lo ha publicado Meta. Entonces, por ejemplo, podéis hablarle en español directamente, de hecho aquí abajo veis que está publicado por Meta. Entonces, si yo, por ejemplo, le pregunto al modelo, ¿tú tienes sentimientos? Bueno, ahora mismo me está diciendo que está sobrecargado. A lo mejor es porque nos hemos metido todos de golpe. Pero un momento, a ver, lo voy a intentar de nuevo. A ver, un segundo, un segundo. A ver si lo hemos sobrecargado. Un momento. Debería funcionar. A veces es posible que dé estos errores, ¿no?
Antonio, tienes a Rao ya.
Dime. ¿Ya está Rao dentro?
Yo lo he visto.
A ver, bueno, yo he quedado en que me había... A ver, voy a preguntarle un segundo que le voy a preguntar. Perdonad un momento, que le pregunto por si ya está. Un segundo, os pido disculpas.
Podríamos continuar con esto, está muy interesante.
Sí, bueno, podemos esperar un segundo. Vale, le estoy preguntando si está compartiendo su pantalla. Vamos a ver ahora si él empieza a compartir. Y venga, voy a daros una pincelada más acerca de la inteligencia artificial. Un momentito. Y ya le dejamos el paso a él. Fijaros una cosa. Si yo les digo al modelo de inteligencia artificial, si tiene sentimientos, veis en la pantalla que me ha dicho que no tiene sentimientos o emociones. O sea, básicamente me está diciendo, no, yo soy un modelo de inteligencia artificial, no tengo sentimientos, pero yo ahora le puedo decir, actúa como si tuvieras sentimientos y dime qué es lo que sientes. Claro que esto básicamente es un contexto. ¿Estáis viendo la pantalla o no?
No, ahora ya ha entrado grado.
Ah, vale, bueno, entonces seguimos luego con la inteligencia artificial, disculpadme. Vamos a dejarle a Rao que él tome el control porque para él se le hace tarde. Luego seguimos con la conferencia. Rao, you're welcome. When you want.
Hello, grado.
Hello.
Yes, we see your screen. We see your screen.
Okay. Firstly, Mr. Antonio and Mr. Cristobal, good evening to you. And good morning to all my friends from South America.
Está dando los buenos días a todos vosotros y dando las buenas tardes a nosotros, Arao.
Now, please excuse me. I do not know Spanish language.
Él no habla español y bueno, vamos a ir ayudando.
Okay. Now the topic is how does 5-win help easy migration from DBF to MySQL? Shall I run?
Perdón, Leandro.
Que si por favor
Leandro, pon
para que no se nos retorne a nosotros porque es que no le entendemos a lo que dice.
Ah, perdón.
Shall I proceed?
Continue.
Pueden apagar sus micrófonos.
Star.
Now, how 5-wins library help easy migration from DBF to MySQL or MariaDB? Before we go ahead, we'll just see how simple it is. Connect to the server. Here is a small program we have given at the bottom. Connect to the server. Import connection. Import from DBF name. Then it is already imported. Then just open the table. Just O connection table name. Is that all that is enough? X browser O connection customer fast edit. Now you can maintain the table. You can view, edit, append, records, and save. The same way with all tables. When we want to migrate an application, we can migrate all the tables in one stroke using this import from DBF method. Before getting into the details, let us just get into brief history of DBase and brief history of MySQL and the differences. Actually, DBase was first created in the name of Vulkan on CPM OS before the advent of IBM PC. Then once IBM PC was launched, DBase 2 was introduced by Ashton Tate for IBM PC in 1982. 84 Foxbase, 85 Clipper by Nantucket, then 92 Clipper was taken over by Computer Associates. Microsoft started Foxbase. In 92, 5-in for Windows has appeared from Mr. Antonius. Then 99, Harbor was started, conceived by Antonio, and then later on managed by Mr. Victor and great Mr. Victor and others. The main point is, during 1980s and 90s, DBase and its variants dominated the software scene, providing the ability to implement database solutions for small and medium sector industries. Before that, it was only Oracle or IBM, Sybase, which were too costly and individuals could not afford. So DBase had its great role to play in making the database programming available to individuals and small and even medium-sized businesses. So some people look down upon DBase. Please let us not do that. It did a great role. It played a great role during 80s and 90s and even 2000. Now MySQL and MariaDB, just an interesting this thing. One gentleman, Mr. Monty, from Sweden, along with his associates, developed MySQL. Actually, MySQL was named after Mr. Monty's eldest daughter. Her name was Mai. Mai plus SQL became MySQL. Then in 2000, it became a free software. 2008, Sun Microsystems acquired it. 2010, Oracle acquired Sun, including MySQL. Then Mr. Monty again, along with his associates, in 2009, developed a fork for MySQL and named it after his second daughter, Maria. That's how it became MariaDB. And most of MySQL and MariaDB are similar. We can either choose to use MySQL or MariaDB. It doesn't make any great difference. DBase, let us just have a small comparison with the DBase and MySQL. MySQL is one of the RDBMS like Oracle, Microsoft SQL, Postgre, etc. And in the case of DBase, we read the file directly from the disk and modify it and then save it. Almost immediately it is saved. And also modifications are visible to all other users. Very simple but effective.
¿Eso es un vídeo o es de
No.
Please ask me. Antonio will translate to me. Any questions? Okay. MySQL. It is like any other RDBMS. We cannot open any table directly. It is a server client configuration. The data is on a server. We'll discuss more about how to install a server and all that later. And client PC has to ask the server to give me a part of the table or full table. Then the server sends the data in a memory buffer to the client PC. And we can have different kinds of software libraries to deal with that memory buffer in a way that it informs us what is the data contained in it and then modify the data. You can use ADO, or for Harbor users, we can use TMySQL or Dolphin or 5-in Maria library. Okay, now actually we heard of SQL name, means structured query language. This is the language with which client PC communicates with the server. That is the only language the server understands, and that is the only language we use to communicate with the server. For example, when we request data, we say select column list from table where condition is something like a filter. Order by salary, it is like indexing. If we want to and then ask this question, then the server will send us the data in a memory buffer. That memory buffer is interpreted by 5-in library or ADO in a form of a table, and we can operate on it. For modifying the data, we use an SQL statement something like update customer, set salary equal to so-and-so, other fields into so-and-so, where the row number is 199. Appending data, insert into customer, list of fields and list of values. This is how the communication goes on, whereas our libraries simplify this effort. In the SQL languages, we split them into two kinds of languages: data definition language and data manipulation language. Data definition language is to create table, create database, create indexes, etc. Data manipulation language is select some columns from a table where condition and order by condition, or insert into table some data, appending, or update, which means modifying some data, etc. Now, if we use 5-in MariaDB, things become very simple. Supposing we have, like we saw earlier, we have already imported customer table into the server. Now, to open the table, we can simply say O connection colon table name. That gives us a record set. Record set is nothing but a collection of records which are read from the memory buffer provided to us by the server. 5-in library takes care of giving it as a table form. Pardon? Now, clear? Now, instead of using a where clause, we can use set filter, ORS set filter.
29 de septiembre llega, ¿eh?
Ahora.
Mr. Antonio, should I answer some question?
Ahora que esto te lo encuentro yo en Alicante. Voy mañanita a ver si te lo encuentro.
A mí me gusta algo así, Kiko, así negro y...
Por favor, apaguen sus micros, por favor, apaguen sus micros.
Por favor, los micros apagados, que se están escuchando conversaciones privadas. Gracias. You may continue, Rao. Thank you.
Aja, okay. In case any clarifications, please let me know. Then ORS set order. The syntax is similar to DBase syntax. Set order salary. That means order the table by salary. Then we can use ORS go top, ORS field name equal to some value, then ORS update, or to append a record, ORS add new, and all these methods. It is difficult to show in the presentation, but this is the link. You can refer to the full documentation in this given link in the 5-in forums. If you go to the English forums, this is almost the first topic. There, all the methods of the connection object, record set object are all given there. Now, when we move data, before we get into real tasks, let us first see. When we move data to an SQL server, we need certain better we adopt some good practices, like data normalizations. As we go through, we may discuss more about this. The same data should not be in more than one table. dividing data into two or more tables and defining relationship between the tables. These relations can be defined in the table creation time itself. Data integrity, primary keys. This is one important thing what we need to remember is, in the case of DBF, record number, rec num identifies every individual row record. Unless we pack the file DBF, record number continues to refer to the same record all the time. Whereas there is no concept of record number in not only MySQL, in any other RDBMS, whether it is Oracle, MySQL, MS SQL, or whatever. What we have them is every table should contain a primary key. So what is primary key? In other words, what DBF does with record number, we have to do ourselves with these tables. In every table, we have to create one unique column with unique value to identify that record. This is called primary key. Primary key can be either numeric, character, or any data type. But it's a very good practice to have numeric data type as a primary key. Also, it is comfortable to use auto increment keys. Auto increment keys, we already know in DBF CDX, we can use auto increment keys. The burden of maintaining the uniqueness of these keys is not on us, it is on the database. So it is very much desirable to use auto increment keys as a primary key. And our library helps it automatically by creating primary key, an auto increment key as a primary key. Programmer doesn't have to do anything. Then relational integrity. This is, for example, we do some set relation to and all that continuously. These things can be set into the database definition itself, table definitions itself, as foreign key relationships. Then we can also enforce unique constraints. We do have index on so-and-so column unique in DBase, but that doesn't ensure uniqueness of the key in all records. Only the index contains unique values. Whereas in the case of all RDBMSs, including MySQL, when we say create index on a column unique, that means it does not allow any record to be appended which already has a value. So just like primary key, unique indexes also impose a constraint that duplicate keys will not be inserted into the database. Then there is another feature in the MySQL advanced versions as well as MariaDB in all versions, that while defining the table structure, we can provide check constraints on any column. That means, supposing it is a numeric column, we can check that the field is greater than 5 and less than 10. In which case, that check is already automatically done by the database without our having to do it ourselves. Then finally, use of triggers for input validation. This is a bit advanced subject. We'll get into that later. For every table, we can create triggers. What should be done when we insert a record or update a record or delete a record? This let us postpone and please ask me at the end. We'll discuss this more. Good practices continuing. For the sake of consistency, we use transactions. You must have heard about it. or those who have already used ADS have implemented transaction tracking. That is, begin transaction, lot of updates and modifications of data, then rollback or commit transaction. If you say rollback, then all the modifications are ignored, rolled back, or if you say commit, all the transactions are written. So if we want that a few tables are to be either modified or not modified, so we use transaction tracking. Snapshot, this I have included for interest because in large tables, per minute, per second, number of transactions will be input by different users, maybe thousands of users. We ask the server a question or a query or SQL statement saying that select all the columns where a condition. The question is, when the database server reads the data in sequence, already some transactions in the earlier are affected or subsequently are affected. So, does the server take into account a snapshot at a particular point, or does it get confused with the subsequent additions and modifications? For example, we wanted our query is to give where customer table, where state is equal to NY. It is supposed to give NY only. It has read some records. After reading those records, somebody changed in an earlier record NY to WA. So what does the server do? Does it include that record or does it remove that record? Does it go back or what does it do? In this case, great RDBMSs like Oracle, they're wonderful server software. It takes a snapshot. It takes into account even if the table is of 10 million records, a snapshot at the moment the query starts executed. It is on that snapshot only it will apply the query and gives us the results. So never the results will be inconsistent. For example, let us take an accounting database, debits and credits. You write debit somewhere in the record that is already read and credit in the records yet to be read. Then if the snapshot approach is not taken, finally your debits and credits won't match. That's the point. So I am not really sure and be certain about how well this is handled by various other RDBMSs, but I am definite that on Oracle it is 100% accurate. Let us see. This is a server's capability issue. Now, we need to better we remember the optimization issues. While doing database design, we have to observe the rules of normalization. We have to very carefully choose indexes. And let us put most of our business logic with check constraints and triggers, procedures, etc. on the server rather than on the front-end logic. Front-end means our 5-in application or a web application, whatever. Query level. Intelligent use of indexes. It is not as simple as we create indexes in DBF. More indexes we create, the more sluggish the performance will be. Sometimes if we don't create indexes, some of our queries will be slow. So how to decide this is by regular analysis of queries. Then we need to understand one more thing, whether it's important or not, OLAP and OLTP. OLAP is online analytical processing. OLTP is online transaction processing. The difference is this. Data entry is online transaction processing. Querying and getting information, management information or other information is online analytical processing. The one thing what we need to remember is, whatever be the size of the organization, the larger the size, the more complex are these issues. Indexes and triggers slow down OLTP, that is online transaction processing. Indexes speed up OLAP, online analytical processing. We need to arrive at a compromise between these two to keep the server's performance up to date. And most of these, let me again say that most of these issues are relevant in the case of large databases. In the case of smaller databases where we deal with 100,000 or 300,000 or so, these do not matter much. It's only in the case of large databases. Indexes, better we understand this. In the case of DBF, indexes are used for navigation. Set index to city, and the entire table when we read, we skip and all that, it is navigated by in the order of the city. In the case of RDBMSs, the main purpose of indexes are not for navigation because we never navigate the table directly. It's only the buffer, memory buffer, which is provided by the server to our client we are dealing with. So indexes are used for optimizing where classes. Supposing where we said index state equal to, our condition is state equal to ny. So if there is an index on the state, the server will look into that index. From the index, it will pick those records which match the condition and read only those records. This way, the query answering is faster. Okay. Now, indexes are also used for putting unique constraints. That is, a particular column, there should not, any duplicate entries are not allowed. That is another reason. Then here we need to keep one thing in mind, a myth. More indexes improve query performance. It is not correct. So do not keep on creating indexes on all the columns. On the contrary, they slow down both OLTP and OLAP. That is both querying as well as recording. Here I just mentioned RBO and CBO. They actually mean is rule-based optimization and cost-based optimization. Rule-based optimization means if there are indexes, these are applied by the server. It says, okay, this index is there, so let me read from the index. Cost-based optimization is how much time does it take if we do this approach, if we follow this approach. Actually, on tests, it is found that full table scans are faster when the result set is larger than 20%. Let me explain. Supposing we are looking at a 1 million rows table. In that, if there are around 200,000 or 100,000 records match the condition, then index helps. But if the condition results in, say, 500,000 or 400,000, then index does not help. Actually, full table scan gives much better result. So it is an art and science of when to use indexes, when not to use indexes. Actually, what I remember is in the Oracle, when Oracle was very popular, there used to be software consultants whose only job was to optimize the queries, SQL statements. It was a very costly consultation. So that tells us how important it is about the creation or not creation of indexes. And I had my own personal experiences in this. So now, okay, we talked about judicious decision on indexes. I'm sorry, this is all in English. I'm not sure whether I could communicate to you properly or not. Finally, our query should place the least load on server and network traffic. If we always say where state equal to ny, order by city. So server has to do filtering and also sorting the data. This is a burden on the server. And every time we want a different state, suppose now we wanted NY, and after 5 minutes we require Washington state. Again, if we ask the server, again server has to do the work again and give it to us. So it adds to the network traffic. So let us reduce requerying or reloading full data from the server. Do not read more than required. Let us minimize the round trips to server. So here, the how 5-in library helps you is, in the case of small and medium tables, do not ask the server to sort. The library sorts in a much faster way. Do not ask where class unless it is necessary, except in large tables. Setting a filter on the client with this library is much faster. This way, we are reducing the burden on the server and distributing the work of sorting and filtering to all the client PCs. In other words, we are judiciously dividing the workload between the server and the clients. Okay. Filters are better than where classes, where the tables are smaller, not, I think anything other than less than 50,000, the 100,000 or 50,000, you can take it as a small table. So this is just for a comparison, a quick comparison. I am not going to spend much time. TMySQL, Dolphin, and FWMySQL use C API of the MySQL server. Let me compare. An ADO uses ODBC. How does our library compare with the ADO and Dolphin TMySQL? Major differences are, every time we filter and sort, T database, TMySQL and Dolphin go to the server, again ask them a new query and then fetch the data. This puts extra burden on the network traffic and also the server. Whereas 5-in library works even if the connection with the server is lost, because the filters and sorting is on the client side. ADO also server connection is required, but ADO also does not give any burden on the server. Inserting and modifying the data. In the case of ADO works very well. ADO and 5MySQL work very well. Writes to the server only the change and refreshes that change only from the server. Whereas Dolphin, etc., even if in a 100,000 records table, if you modify one column of a one row, it writes that information, but again reads the entire 1 million rows, 100,000 rows. This is sluggish. The performance, it hits the performance. Same way deletes. So if connection is lost, Dolphin tries to reconnect, but then 5MySQL, the 5-in library automatically try to reconnect unless the physical connection is lost. ADO stops working. So whether batch mode working. Now batch mode working is possible in my FWMySQL and ADO. Batch mode working means you read a table in a batch mode. You do many corrections, modifications, appending, deletions, etc. Only when you save the entire batch all the
Antonio,
changes are
perdón,
written to the
perdón,
server.
te interrumpo ahí, no sé si me puedes traducir algo para decirle a Mr. Rao en ese tema de la reconexión. No sé si eso se puede solucionar. Él habla ahí de que la reconexión pues está bien en todos menos en ADO. Preciso se hace para la conexión. ¿Eso se puede corregir o se puede hacer algo o eso ya depende directamente de ADO?
Mr. Antonio? Hello?
Yes, Leandro is asking if with ADO, is it possible to reconnect in some way?
Server connection. Is that
With ADO?
with LDO?
I mean, he's
No.
asking.
Tell me. He's asking?
No, I mean, he talking about connection lost.
Okay.
MySQL and Dolphin, it reconnects. 5Win MySQL connects and reconnects, and ADO stops working. Is
Yes.
there a way to reconnect with ADO?
Yes, reconnect and open physically reconnect and open it. Again, open the connection object. Whereas in the case of 5Win, it's much better than even Dolphin. Whenever we put it, we can read the data, sort, we can handle the data even if the connection is lost. But when we do any operation on the server, automatically 5Win's library attempts to reconnect to the server. Unless physical connection is lost, it does reconnect. That reconnection is transparent to the programmer and the user. Where the problem comes is physical connection is lost or internet connection is lost. Even in that case, it gives a message. What all user has to do is just to put the plugs back, make sure that the physical connection is there, or make sure that the internet connection is there, and again retry the same operation. He does not have to do anything to reconnect. Our 5Win library automatically reconnects. Am I clear or not clear yet?
Sí, más o menos lo entendí, pero pues me preocupa que preciso con el que nosotros usamos es el único que no reconecta. Nos dice que le enviemos un mensaje al usuario y que nosotros por debajo reconectemos. Pero yo intenté eso y no sé si obviamente debe ser que sí tengo algo mal en nuestro código y no lo he logrado. De pronto no sé si después les muestro el código como lo tengo para ver si logro hacer esa reconexión.
De todas formas, Leandro, si te parece, vamos a hacer una cosa, vamos a dejarle que él continúe con la exposición y una consulta así se la transmito yo directamente o bien por los foros o en privado y te lo solucionamos al margen. Más que nada por no retrasarnos en tiempo, si te parece.
No, vale, no hay problema.
Venga. Okay, Mr. Rao, you may continue. Thank you.
Is it clear or any more doubts are there? Let me continue one more thing. If you are in a doubt, if you are in a doubt, what you do is run a 5Win library application using 5Win. Okay, when you have read a table and then browsing it, purposefully switch off the internet connection. Take it out. And then see that you can still work on the table without writing anything. Now try to write. Modify edit a field and then try to write. It will try to reconnect without telling you. And finally it fails because physical connection is lost. Then it will say connection lost. It will give us a message. Then as a user, just switch on your internet again. Make sure your internet is working. Then again edit and save the data. It will automatically save the data. Am I clear or not clear? The programmer or the user does not have to give any command or write any program to reconnect.
It's very clear what you are saying.
Am I clear?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now let us go to the other activities. Now, support of stored procedures. Actually, some of our friends may already be knowing stored procedures and server-side stored procedures and functions. Actually, this is a lot of business logic can be put on the server itself, so that the front-end writer and these stored procedures can have in and output parameters. Here, Dolphin and TMySQL cannot handle out parameters. They can handle only input parameters. Whereas my FW library can handle both in and out parameters. ADO, we have to use a totally different object called command object. So this way also, 5-in library gives much more facility in handling stored procedures. Okay, this is a table. I am just skipping it. Earlier I made a table comparing the performance of Dolphin, ADO and my 5-in library. Once you get the copies of the presentation, you can go through later on. 5-in library, then here some programmer may say that I'm already using ADO. It takes lot of time for me to move to 5-in library. This is for those who are already using MySQL. Now, the 5-in library does not conflict with either ADO or TMySQL or TDolphin. You can continue to run your main application using any of these libraries, but certain additional functionality you can use 5-in library. 5-in library is functionality. We do not need to do anything to link 5-in to MySQL library. It's automatically built into the 5-in. It can replace or it can work side by side with ADO or TDolphin. Okay. Now, this syntax, our syntax is similar to DBase, T database, ADO, and Dolphin. So anybody who is migrating from ADO to 5-in this thing, he can safely use the same kind of syntax like ORS, fields, name, colon value, etc. So it is easy to migrate from ADO. It is easy to migrate from Dolphin. And when we are started using, if we are already using T database, the syntax is quite similar. And I know a practical example of one of my friends migrating from DBF to MySQL. In all those modules where he used T database, he finished it, all the modules he finished in 2-3 hours, large modules. Because most of the syntax is the same. So another thing, if we are using ADO or TDolphin, where we want to do a particular operation using our 5-in library, we can have a duplicate connection. O connection is equal to Maria connect, OADO connection or O Dolphin connection, Dolphin server. So we use this connection object to do some work with 5-in library and then close it. So while working, the main application is working on ADO or Dolphin, we can, for specific purposes, we can use Maria, the Maria library. Now, when we want to migrate, we need a server. Now supposing we have an application and we are trying to migrate to MySQL. First thing we need is a server. The server can be either local server, it can be on local PC, and I can work as an individual on my desktop, or any PC on the network, local area network, and I can connect to that server on that network PC. You can download MySQL community server. This is free. If you go to the MySQL page, you will get confused. They have become businessmen now. They all started commercial versions, and it is very difficult for you to find where the free servers are there. Go to this link we have given, MySQL downloads MySQL. Okay. Here you get the community server. Download from here and follow the installation instructions. If it is too much for now, we can hire any server in the cloud connected through internet and connect it through internet. For the case of till you actually install a server or hire a server, for the present testing, you can first initially test using one of the two free cloud servers 5in provides. These are actually meant for testing by our users or users to put a problem there and to ask us what is the solution. There are two servers. The first one is in New York. The second one is in Europe. You use whatever you like. You are free to use them. Suppose migration, tables. How do we do? As simple as eval directory. Sorry, I committed a mistake here. O connection import from DBF C1. C-1. Okay, right. Importing all the applications will be finished in a few minutes in small applications, few minutes or maybe an hour, not more than that. That's our experience. Now you may ask the question of indexes. Here, please listen to me. In most cases, in our DBF system, we must have created index on almost all the fields or most of the fields for every table, either CDX or NTX. Out of experience, my personal suggestion is, having dealt with huge, very huge databases on Oracle, Microsoft SQL, and also nowadays with MySQL. Those days, MySQL was not in the picture at all. Right. Do not create indexes. By default, while importing the DBF, our library creates one index with auto increment key, one primary key, one index is created. More than that, we do not require any other indexes. I can assure you that if the tables are less than a few 100,000 or a few 100,000, indexes won't help us much. It only adds a burden to while writing and while reading, it only acts a burden. Unless the tables are huge, it is good not to have indexes. Or unless you want a unique constraint. Hope it's clear. I am clear on this. I think I missed. Okay. Now, any questions or?
Thank you.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
I know. I want to know if in the future it's possible to use the same class struct for connect in MySQL can be developed another class to connect to Postgres.
I am not clear.
What I want to know is in the future we can have the similar class to connect to MySQL to connect to Postgres.
Connect to Postgres, yes.
Actually, access.
Yes. Wait, please wait. Already, Harbor has a library to connect to Postgres. And we 5in libraries have an interface with that library. You can use that library.
Okay, but what I want to know is to have the facility of the MySQL class to do the same with Postgres.
So Postgres has its own way of handling things. It is more or less similar. For the fundamentals of reading tables, browsing them and handling them and modifying them, it is almost the same. There are some advanced SQL features are there where PostgreSQL has some advantages over these. Are you looking for a PostgreSQL connectivity?
Sorry?
Are you interested in connecting to Postgre server?
Yes.
I see. But now you can use the Harbors library, Postgre library, which seamlessly connects to 5N libraries.
You can use ADO.
ADO, more than ADO, for Postgre library, I have tested and found this Harbors library is very good library.
ADO works fine.
ADO works with all ADO works with all RDBMSs. Actually, ADO works even with DBFs.
Okay, thank you.
I think we have some examples in our samples connecting to PostgreSQL. We can provide them. Yeah, anything else, please? Shall I close this presentation?
Yo tengo una pregunta, disculpe, Mr. Rao. Dentro de su experiencia, ¿cuál es la mejor opción para manejar bases de datos dentro del software? ¿Manejando procedure, funciones o directamente con sentencias SQL?
Mr. Antonio, can you help me?
Yes, he's asking, in your experience, what is it better, to use SQL sentences or to use store procedures?
SQL sentences or
stored procedures.
Stored procedures. Okay, right. See, actually, I did not include a slide here. It depends on the size of the organization. In large organization, what we do is we have we divide the operations into 3 parts. One is server administrators. Second is database programmers. Third is user interface programmers. Database programmers, what they do is they do server-side programming like stored procedures, stored functions on the server. The advantage being also triggers. The entire business logic is built into the stored procedures and triggers. So the front-end programmers, there may be some employee may be doing a web application, some other employee may be doing a 5N application. Anything is possible. So front-end programmers do not know what is the database, what are the tables there. They only communicate with the server through the stored procedures. That is the ideal situation for larger organizations. For smaller organizations, anything is more or less equal, but it's a good discipline to use stored procedures. And our library supports use of stored procedures in the best possible way. Better than ADO also. I think we have given some examples in the documentation. I suggested to go through the documentation. In that, there is a page devoted to stored procedures. You can refer to that.
Antonio, tengo una pregunta para que se la haga. La pregunta es la siguiente. Esta automatización de hacer un import from DBF aparentemente es muy potente y muy rápida y tal y cual. pero el problema que veo yo es que los tipos de datos que tienen las DBF no necesariamente coinciden con lo que hay en MySQL. De hecho, MySQL tiene muchísimos tipos de datos. Y, por ejemplo, no tiene datos que hay en una DBF como son los tipos lógicos. Entonces, ¿qué criterio ha seguido para hacer esa importación automática? Porque seguramente si yo, imagínate, estoy pasando un valor lógico a un tini, luego en otros lenguajes eso no tiene nada que ver con un valor lógico, sino con un numérico que puede tener ceros y unos. Entonces, lo que me interesa es saber qué criterio ha seguido. Y otra cosa de algo que dijo anteriormente, o que al menos yo vi en la exposición, preguntarle que cuál es la diferencia entre requery y refresh de alguna de las librerías que ha explicado anteriormente.
Manu, si te parece y no hay objeción, como tenemos la dificultad de la traducción y el sonido, yo creo que estas preguntas podemos abrir un post en los foros donde hagamos esta serie de consultas concretas y que él las responda allí. Os lo agradezco porque va a ser más fácil y no enlentecemos toda la presentación. Hay mucho material todavía por ver.
Me parece
yo creo
bien.
que ha estado interesante que él ha mostrado cómo se pasan las DBF rápidamente a SQL. Es una idea general. Si un cliente os dice, oye, yo quiero una versión en SQL, venga, vamos a hacer la migración. Ya sabéis cómo hacer la migración. Luego él ha dado enlaces a mucha documentación que hay en los foros. Hay muchos ejemplos y de hecho muchos de vosotros habéis migrado ya a MySQL sin problema. Entonces, vamos a ver si él tiene ahora algún ejemplo preparado que nos quiera enseñar y si no, yo diría que todas las preguntas las rutemos a los foros porque es que si no vamos a perder mucho tiempo en traducciones y en enterarnos todos, ¿vale? Si os parece. Mr. Rao, are
Yes.
you done? Are you done or are you going to show any examples?
No, not now. Because all examples, whatever I tried, they are too big to put on a presentation. So what I am suggesting is, we will give an example of Yunus program converting into MySQL. Tomorrow we will circulate to them by email the conversion program. That should give confidence to most users that how easy it is to convert from DBF to MySQL. What do you suggest?
Okay, sounds perfect, Rao. Thank you very much. Bueno, está diciendo Rao que él va a poner unos ejemplos, hay mucho material en los foros y las preguntas que haya las rutamos a los foros. Creo que es lo más sencillo para que nos dé tiempo a seguir cubriendo materia. ¿Vale? Entonces, si no hay ninguna pregunta más así urgente, algo urgente, podemos dar terminada la sesión, si estáis de acuerdo. Mr. Rao, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rao.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Bueno, creo que queda claro y que sabéis que Rao lleva años trabajando con base de datos SQL, toda la experiencia que tiene, él ha creado todos los módulos que hay dentro de FibeWin y realmente muchos de vosotros estáis trabajando ya en los foros están trabajando con estas funciones y estos comandos. Luego, él ha dado una introducción que yo entiendo que es bastante genérica y está bien. Así que si os parece vamos a continuar. Llevamos 1 hora y cuarto. Vamos a continuar con la inteligencia artificial, si estáis preparados. Y vamos a ello, ¿vale? Bueno, os he dicho antes, os he pedido que si tenéis un